Hi everyone, so again with this next set of videos, what I'm just trying to do is show you kind of real life examples of each of these methods in practice. So here is the article about children's toys. I'm just going to quickly show you how they've kind of done almost a rhetorical challenge. So it's in the paragraph where they've talked about where they've done a little bit of research. They've kind of put the two together, and what they've got is, so they talk about them sleeping. They say, dare I say it got a little bit out of hand. If this is the treatment at a Disney factory, what are the conditions like further down the line? How much are the elves who make the knockoffs paid? How are they treated? I'm going to guess at badly. So we've got one, two, three, four kind of questions there. Now, interesting, what they do right at the end is they answer the final question, and that's not a rhetorical question, therefore that is what we call hyperphora, where a question is posed and the answer is given. It's quite a good technique to do at the end of a paragraph and then answer it at the start of the next. But anyway, what we're looking at today, the purpose of the next paragraph you're going to do is rhetorical challenge. Now yours tends to come at the end because you use it to link other things you've said, but that is kind of what this person is doing. They're linking their ideas about the treatment of these workers all together in this series of rhetorical questions, which has great impact. Hi everyone, so we're going to go through the top tips now for the final paragraph, which is the rhetorical challenge paragraph. So we're going to be thinking about how we can do this paragraph. Now it's probably the shortest one, it's almost like a summary of everything you've said, and we're going to make sure to begin with we're going to avoid simple, short questions which can apply to anything. So we really need to be specific about the topic. So we're not writing questions, rhetorical questions like, what do you think? How do you feel about this? Do you agree? Which is the worst rhetorical question in the world, because people can just say yes or no. It's just ridiculous. So we're also trying to get the reader to agree with you and also feel the same way as you, and that goes back to that emotive language. Okay, so we're getting them, the questions need to be targeted so that they get the reader answering in the way you want them to. Obviously they're rhetorical, so they're not actually going to answer them, and they're designed to make people think. So realistically we want to give open questions. Now an open question is a question without really an answer, without a closed answer like yes or no or true or false or something like that. So we're going to go for things like, how would you feel if? Or a question like, is it acceptable that? Okay, so you really kind of draw out those questions. And then the final thing is, what we're going to try and do is we're going to link the questions to previous points. And it's going to be more obvious how to do that when I go through the model answer. This final bit is really important because it's quite hard to get marks for structural devices in a piece of non-fiction. So how we're going to do that is we're going to use this rhetorical challenge to link back to things we've said throughout our answer. Okay, onto the model paragraph. As ever, as I've said a few times, this rhetorical challenge is the shorter one, so you'll see that as I write it. Okay, so we've been using this here, and we've been working our way through the paragraphs. So we've done this one. We're now onto this rhetorical challenge. Now, as you can see, I've numbered them 1, 2, and 3, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to link backwards. So I'm going to link to my counter argument, then my research, then my anecdote, so that I can end where I began. So I get that cyclical structure again. So I'm starting with this one here. So the head of sixth form, and I talked about, so the useful thing to write this paragraph is to go back to what you've written. So I talked about the sixth form wanting to create independent students, but then I basically talked about them not being independent because homework tells them what to do and how to spend their time. So, would you prefer to create independent young adults who know how to manage their work, or to create mindless, I'm just going to add in the word society. Would you prefer society, because otherwise it sounds like I'm only speaking to parents. So would you prefer society to create independent young adults who know how to manage their work, or to create mindless robots who only know how to do what they're told to do? So this is a phrase that comes from my previous paragraph. I said something about, where is it? Telling them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So what they're told to, when they're told to, and how they're told to. Now, that question is designed to get the reader on side, isn't it? Because we're basically, nobody's going to say they want young people to be mindless robots. So, in a sense, I've got that element of getting to feel a certain way and to agree with me here. Then, I'm not going to write a really short question because that's ridiculous. So I've done this one here. Let's cross it out. And then I was going to link back to this school in my second paragraph, so I'm just going to remind myself of that. Here we go. Okay, we've got students outperform the national average, the happier behaviour, okay, and better outcomes. So, would you rather, sounds a bit like would you prefer, if you could choose for your child to attend a school with exceptional outcomes, exceptional results, outstanding behaviour, you mentioned behaviour, and what was the other thing? Happy. And happy students, but it does not set homework. If you could choose for your child to attend a school with exceptional results, outstanding behaviour and happy students, but it does not set homework, what is your priority? So we notice how it's just rhetorical question, one after another, really long and detailed. And then my final one is going to link back to the very first paragraph, so I'm just going to show you that. I want to go back to exactly where I started. So, trapped within a prison cell, confined, restricted, imprisoned. Okay, so how would you feel if is a good way to end, I think. So how would you feel if your bedroom became a cell? A cell, and you were trapped inside books, confined within projects, and what was the third word? Confined, was it imprisoned? So I've got confined, trapped. Oh, it's confined, restricted, imprisoned. So confined within projects and imprisoned for something as futile and absurd as homework. And there we go, that's end. So 3 nice long rhetorical questions summing up what you think, getting the reader finally on side, and linking back to the previous paragraphs that you've written, making sure that they agree with you. That's the end of the series of videos on viewpoint writing. Hopefully you've got a good idea and you've taken away some tips and things you can include. I do also have videos on there for creative writing which you possibly have already watched, so have a look at those if you haven't yet.